are the founder and principal of sound engineer at Xtream Audio Mastering. This is your baby, right? Since
Yeah.
2001. You work with artists on all levels, all over the world. What is it that you do with them or for them? Tell me about that.
Well, so mastering is a very unique process. It's the end of the creative process for an album or a single. So you have, people, artists who go in the studio, they record, they take those recordings, they mix them down, and then they send them to me to be
Oh,
finally
okay.
processed. I treat them, I create a very commercial sounding song that's going to translate across all platforms, from your earbuds to your car to streaming services. It's almost like color correction for video. So if you're shooting a movie, you have all these different scenes from different angles,
Okay.
and you have to make them look the same, right? So you color correct this in a scene, and that's the same thing with each song. Some songs might have too much bass, or they're not bright enough. They're not up to a commercial standard with volume. So I take and take all those songs, make them sound coherent, and help make the realize the artist's musical vision across the album or the EP, and create this cohesive piece of art, and help them get it to the streaming services and out there, so it stands up to everybody else. Excuse me, everybody else's music. A lot of people are doing stuff at home versus artists who have a huge budget. So you need to bring in professionals in some aspects of the creative process to help you get in that ballpark. And mastering is one of the areas where you can do everything else at home, but you go to a mastering engineer, they're going to at least get you sounding like you can compete. Like I had someone say, make me sound like Jay-Z. Well, I can't. He spends $10,000 on 1 week in a studio. You're spending $100 on your whole album, but I can at least get you in the ballpark so that you don't sound like an amateur. So
Okay.
so
Okay. So it
that's
doesn't
really
even
what I
matter what
do.
their budget. So you're able to work with different budgets to be able
Yes.
to accomplish that.
Yes, and
Okay.
I have various pricing depending on who it is. Like I offer students a huge discount.
Okay.
I when I say I work with people all over the world, I have people who upload files to me, and I started doing mixing as well. Like I'm working on a hip hop project right now, where I'm taking all the instruments, the tracks that they've recorded, and I put them together, blend them, and then I'll master them. But I mean, I joke that there's probably an FBI file on me, because from like 2010 to 2015, I was working with some of the biggest artists in Russia. They
Oh,
they
wow.
didn't have access to mastering studios. All the places didn't have access to Western gear. They didn't update any of their facilities. And through a connection, I stumbled upon these two producers who were extremely active. And so they used to upload files to me, and then they'd pay me via Western Union, because I couldn't take any credit card payments, because they're in Russia and there's a
Oh,
boycott on them.
wow. Wow.
So, but they're I was working with this album with Lev Lesheko, and they're like, he's the Frank Sinatra of Russia. I'm like, are you kidding me? They're like, oh yeah. So I looked him up, and I'm like, this guy's huge. And I started doing all these other big artists from Russia. And it was funny, because I'm like, wow, no one knows this, but I'm catering to the stars of Russia in the late 2000s. So.
How funny. How funny. So it's interesting. So like when let's say an artist comes to you and they want you to master their work. So do you sit down with them? Do you sit down and go, what's the process? How do you find out what it is they want? Do you interview
So
them? Do you listen to their music first? What do you do?
all the above, but it's getting less and less interactive. So
Okay.
I would love to talk on the phone with people, but it's happening less. People don't have time. So
Okay.
usually what happens is people send me a link to download their files. And so I'll get their files, I'll talk to them, or I'll email them, or we text. And I ask for, you know, what's their vision? What are they looking for? Are they looking for quality over volume, which is always an issue? Are they looking for a certain sound? Do they have an artist that they want to emulate? Can they point me in the right direction to listen to something that might
Okay.
give me an idea? So some people want this analog sound. They want it really like round and smooth, or other like dance artists, they want it bright and in your face, and everything in between. So I have to figure that out, like what's the sound that they're going for, and then work on achieving that. And I usually I'm usually really close with mastering. I usually nail it within the first pass.
Okay.
Mixing, it's very subjective, so I'll go back and forth with the mixing process, but I send them clips for review, you know um and just let them hear it. And then again, it's not my baby, it's their vision. So I'm very big on, it's not what I want, it's what you want. Tell me what you
Yeah.
want and I'll make it happen.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
have to put my stamp on it. That's just not what it's
Yeah.
about. It's about
Yeah.
me being a conduit to you getting to the end of your